Da 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 da! What's my good chair? Welcome, everybody. Let's give YouTube a couple of minutes to get those notifications out. In the meantime, if you've never popped into one of my lives before, hi, I'm Cindy. I explore the inside and the outside, and I just smile at myself sometimes, and sitting here and I have to talk myself into hitting that live button, right? Always anticipating that I'm going to say something or stumble over myself or, right, something. And I just say, hit that button. And, I just catch myself off guard and here we are in 2024. Isn't that absolutely amazing? It's not something that is to the norm in my family that I never thought I was going to make it this far along. I didn't think anybody in my family was going to make it this far, in all honesty. And as far as it went, I was pretty certain I was going to get the furthest, even though I was the oldest of the kids. I don't know why, but I am grateful for my good health. And sitting here right now, I'm going to say, I'm very grateful that me and all my sisters made it to 2024. Very, very grateful for that because it's every year, right, is an opportunity for us to make some movement. A lot of people, they don't get that time. And I was actually just sitting here and I was in contemplation over one of my father's favorite saying, and this is a plaque that when my father passed away, I took a couple of things, not much. I took a sweater, his lucky sweater. If you don't know, my dad was a compulsive gambler, and he had a lucky sweater, and it looked very good on him. And when he passed away, I don't know. In grief, we do strange things. I could have taken one of many things of his, and it was a lucky sweater. And this plaque, life is what happens to us while we're making other plans. This is a quote my father lived by. You know, he got diagnosed quite early in his life that he had congenital heart disease and he wasn't going to live very long. And he got it into himself that he was going to live every moment of his life as an adventure, as an experience, and he was going to stuff that life full with wondrous, amazing things. He took his family along for that. He took his family along for that ride, and it was an exciting ride. It was sometimes scary. It was frustrating quite often. It was full of adventures, full of love, full of smiles, right? In that giving and sharing of that life that my father loved so much. You know, you see people out there that, they don't want to be here. They want to give up. And I think every time I hear a story like that or somebody's passed away by their own wanting, right? Their own doing, that I think to myself, life is so precious. My dad would have done anything for those extra years that that person didn't care so much to, right, participate in. He would have given anything for those years. But I think because of this saying, life is what happens to us while we're making other plans. He lived by this. This was Bible quote. My dad brought his family up on quilts. I was brought up on quotes, and this was one of my dad's favorites. And he kept it beside his chair, and he would sit in this lazy boy chair with his feet up, with his favorite book, with this on the wall, and maybe a favorite cup of coffee, and his big stand-up light and his ashtray, and he was perfectly content. And the thing is, my father doubled his expected lifespan. My father doubled it. It was absolutely incredible. It's because I think, that he did love life so much. And it was something, right? Like I said, it breaks my heart when I hear these stories where people just don't want to be here anymore. And I have that love, that lust for life like my father had. And I'm an adventurer, aren't I? I am an adventurer. And only up until the past few years have I even given it a consideration as to why I'm an adventurer, why I love experiencing new experiences so much. It was a gift, it was an inheritance. It was in that programming as a child, right? It was 100% a gift. I don't think that I would be sitting here right now with you without that love for life, without that lust of life being brought down to me. And there was a reason. And even if in the moment, I was in grief and I ended up with a silly lucky sweater and a plaque that sat beside his chair. So grateful, because it could have been anything, because in grief I was just grabbing, right? I was just grabbing in the moment. Maybe it didn't matter, but there were parts of me that knew that maybe when the crying was done, that maybe a little bit of time between that heartbreak, that grief, and coming out of it, that I would appreciate, right, this plaque. And I certainly do. I certainly do appreciate this plaque more now than I ever did, right? So I just wanted to share that, going into a new year, lots of us, I'm online and I hear people, oh, there's so much pessimism, such little optimism there, you know, and you can feel the heaviness. You can feel, I call it mogwire. It's like trying to move through mud. Everything is slow and heavy and draggish, right? Okay, but is that disastrous? Is that doom and gloom? No. But because we revel, right, in the disasters, because that's what we do as humans, right? That little bit of foreshadowing, right? That second guessing, that catastrophizing, that self sabotaging, right? That self negative talk that we have, that that beating ourselves up in our limitations, it's all there. It's just as much here in 2024 as it was yesterday in 2023, right? And because it's 2024 and we have New Year's resolutions and we're looking to be optimistic and move towards those goals. And here's, right, January 1st. And I tell you, I was a slug. I look around, I'm very surprised that I got as much done as I thought, or as much done as I did, because it was like going through mogmire today. It was just heavy and sluggish and, right, draggish, and it is what it is. And at the same time, it was just what I needed. It was just what I needed, right? To be able to just not do anything, to not have that pressure of the to-dos, right? I've got to do this, I've got to do that. It's a New Year's Day. It's an actual holiday. And we're so ready with those whips to go mush, right? Let's get that done. And it's not like I wasn't getting things done. It was a great saying that I got yesterday, and I don't even know who gave it to me. I might be able to remember it by heart, but I would like to get it right for word to word that I have, but I don't even know what book it is in now. I think even switch books for 2024. But the saying was, even in doing nothing, I'm doing everything, right? I'm doing everything. I'm doing right? And I am. And it was, I don't know where the quote came from, but it was such an amazing quote. And it just hit me and I went, oh my goodness, it's so true. You know, lots of times we beat ourselves up because we're right sitting in a chair, or we're not getting things done. We're not motivated to work towards those goals. And those New Year's resolutions have become a real big struggle, and it's only day one, right? And then we do that trash talk, don't we? And I have to remind myself that I got lots done today. I really did make some movement for myself, right? A little bit of a little bit of pep talk, even if it was all in here. I'm trying to be more vocal about it, but these are just things in the practice, right? In my New Year's resolutions to move that forward and to never give up, and understanding, right? Life is what happens to me while I'm making other plans. And even though I had great intentions for, I didn't have any intentions for January. I knew last night when I was going to bed that January 1st was going to be a total write off. I was going to watch movies, which I didn't do. I was going to take in lessons, which I did, right? And I did. But nothing entertaining today, like online. I didn't really entertain myself. And usually I call that like mixing the turnips in the mashed potatoes. You know, sometimes when I get so punch drunk by informations and understandings and lessons, and this person yapping off the top of their head, and right, I'm siphoning through all of it and picking up just minuscule bites of it, and again beating myself up because I'm not making any movement. And I am, just even a minuscule amount is still movement. Even getting up and doing the dishes and changing the cat litter, right? Washing the floor. Good enough. That was more than what I said I was going to do when went to bed last night, because, right, I knew today was going to be a write off. Okay, you guys, let's get to it. I can't babble off forever, but we're going to delve into first impressions of our 22nd word. 20 22 weeks. 2022 is my lucky number. It's the day of my birthday. And yeah, I like the twos. The twos are full of energy, aren't they? Yeah. Okay, you guys. So, word number 22. Give us a good one. Maybe something that ties into what's coming in the new year, or where we can move towards in the new year. Maybe concentrate a little bit more, because we know that some things in our lives, some things in our families, some things in our community, some things in our country, right? Continent, world, universe, right? There are times when we need a little bit of attention, a little bit more attention, right? In these different aspects at different times. So let's see if we can pull something up for 2024. I am no fortune teller, right? But I can put two and two together. I certainly can, right? And I'm getting pretty good. I don't like puzzles, but I'm getting pretty good at what do you call those ones with where you draw the lines and then they turn into a picture? Can't remember those ones. Word search? No, it wasn't word search. Okay, you guys, let's pick a word for this week. If you've never popped into one of my lives before, I'm Cindy. I explore the inside and the outside. Each week on Monday, we pick a word. on Mondays, it's the first impression, the first thing that comes to my mind when we pick the word. And then each day for the rest of the week, we do it Monday to Friday. Saturday, I spend on Instagram. Sunday, I have another live show, Chatters Live. Everybody's welcome to come join us. Okay, here we go. We're going to talk about this all week. I'm very surprised at some of these words that we've gotten, that we've been able to find, right? Chit chats on it every single day. And not only that, in some of these words, to feel at the end of the week that I could have gone another week with them. Okay, Cindy, stop wasting time. You're procrastinating here. Here we go. Integrity, you guys. This is a really good word, right? And I think this is a good word for all of us because integrity, and the first thing that comes to my mind is trust, right? And here we are at the end of this live, and that's the first thing that came to my mind. And I'm thinking to myself, oh my goodness, I could probably talk an hour on trust, right? Integrity. Integrity is the baseline. Integrity is everybody's, right? We were talking about puzzles, putting things together and everything. And when we interact with other people, when we have business with other people, when we're confiding our own personal beliefs, our personal understandings, maybe some of our personal problems, right? Maybe some of that traditions that are dynamic and possibly unique and different towards what other families are doing. Sometimes we have, right, unique problems, and we're looking for people that we can trust to have these conversations with, that we can trust that they won't go off and use them as examples and chat about them, or, right, as we all as humans do, we have moments, don't we? And in those moments, we could lose it. We could totally lose it in that moment. But sometimes pride stops us from, when we're being idiots, to apologize or to stand down. We hold our grounds. We become very stubborn, right? We hold our own, and we don't apologize quite often, and we can be our own worst enemies in that. But the thing is, when we are our own worst enemies, there's an audience to that. And that's what something I've come to learn, in working in social media. And if you don't know, I have been on social media since 2013 was the first time I posted anything. It was an actual audition video for Big Brother Canada. I wanted to be on Big Brother Canada. And in doing that video and in doing that audition, I come to realize I didn't have enough media. I didn't have any followers, right? I had to have a little bit of a baseline, a little bit of an audience, right? You need those cheerleaders to root you on, right? When you're going for $1 million. And that's what I was wanting to do, right? Totally unaware. Not woke to any of these ideas that I have now, but that's sometimes how it starts. And I think it started long, long before then, right? But a lot of that process is going on underneath the surface of the water, where I'm totally, or any of us is totally unaware of what's going on. But I was going to say, as we're moving along, right? And as we're making our decisions and our little mistakes and our failures and having those conversations and building those relationships that all take time in that idea of building trust. But being here on social media and being here since 2014, right? I'm putting in that time. And it's my integrity, right? It's my integrity that's going to allow me to come to the table in a way that's genuine. My faults, my mistakes, my own bumbling along at the same time, knowing that, right, it takes all kinds to make the world. It truly, truly, truly does. And I'm not going to be able to help every single person, but those people that get me, right? That get my values, that get my stories, right? That appreciate that I show up here every single day, right? Are kind of dumbfounded possibly by that. I'm going to have to say courage, bravery, that little bit. Go ahead, Sydney, hit that button, go live, right? That little bit of accountability to myself to make sure that I show up, that no matter what, that we're at that point now that there are other people making their movement through the evidence of the movement that I'm making, right? Because I've built up that relationship. I have built up that potential that somebody might be able to give me a little bit of ear, right? To give me a chance, right? That they might open up their pores and breathe me in, or, right, take a bite and chew it and digest it, right? And maybe they'll get something, maybe they won't. But in this moment, we're kind of moving together. And that's an amazing thing. And it's not just an amazing thing, right? For that possibility that somewheres down the line that somebody might find what I found and be able to pull themselves through that mogmire, right? And it can be mogmire, but with all those lessons, right? That accountability, right? The possibilities in realizing that some of those lessons that you take in are only the prerequisites of the lessons that are going to come to us in 2024. And do I know what those lessons are? No, I don't. No, I don't. But this week we're going to be talking about integrity, right? Because it's something I had to build up. And it's something, when I was a child, it was that expectation, right? Those quotes, right? This is do as I say, not as I do. These are the rules. This is my castle, right? Because I said so. So for a lot of it, you know, it was in the programming. And I'm grateful that I didn't take offense to it, that I didn't take on the dark aspects of it and make it, well, I didn't weaponize it, right? That I didn't bring in a crappy attitude and drag that crappy attitude everywhere is where I went. And I did a little bit, but unaware, I would think I did pretty darn good, because if I didn't, I don't think I'd be sitting here right now having these types of conversations. So along the lines, I picked up some of those lessons. I picked them up as actual truths, because you have to believe in them for them to actually be able to be the evidence, to actually right? For them to be able to manifest that way. And, being genuine in what I don't know and genuine in what I bring here every single day, that's part of my integrity. Because I could come in here and I could, right? I could be that expert, right? I could take notes and I could read it by the book, right? I can use some photographic memory if I wanted to, right? And just be able to come in here and spew it and not really tie it to anything except to the data. And we know that's not going to work. We know that's not going to hit home. We know that's not going to draw anything to anybody, because we're human, aren't we? Just like Big Brother Canada, we need to be able to be drawn into it. We needed to be able to have those genuine conversations that sometimes, right, might not look totally professional on the surface, right? But just like a glacier, right? 80% of that glacier is underneath the surface. All we're truly seeing is the little peak that's peeking out of the water, right? Most of it is still going on down there. So it's only into each one of us to decide, right? If the person we're listening to, the person that we're interacting with, right? If that person is a good influence in those programmed values and those learned values, those realized values, those understanding, and those known, those known ones, right? It's to each one of us to decide whether we can connect, if we believe in the person that's having that conversation with us. I am a realist, but I understand that some of these topics, only because of the experience of my own story, right? My own movement, that sometimes it does feel like Mogmire, right? I have to be drawn out of it, right? And I have to inspire myself first before I'm even capable of inspiring anybody else. And that's a truth. And that's, part of that integrity. It's part of that package for myself. That's part of me showing up, right? With the good stuff, the silly stuff, right? And the stuff I don't quite understand yet, right? But in showing up here, right? Maybe it's you that understands it, and you'll pop into the comments and you'll go, Cindy, let me tell you, right? Did you know this? And then you get to be the good influence for me. And now that little bit of integrity that I've built up has built, even if it was just a few sentences, right? A connection between the two of us. And then it would be in our choices whether to delve into it a little bit deeper, right? Because, right? You let me know. Let me tell you, Cindy, did you know this? Right? And it's in that sharing that we're actually going to be able to make the most magnificent leaps and bounds in not just arm movements, because again, in that evidence and in that connection that we build up, and like, yeah, it does take some time sometimes, but sometimes it doesn't, because we all know a truth when we see it, right? Just as much as we can see the right, we can see that. Oh, are you kidding me? Right. Oh, never thought of that. And that's what it's about. And that's why I show up here every day in just those practicing my craft, right? Because it is a craft, and it's a craft that I'm not perfect at, but it's a craft also that I'm not quite sure that I want to be perfectly crafted at, right? That's part of that integrity, right? Because that you could see my genuineness in that, right? Like I said, I could pretend I'm the expert, right? But how close is that going to get anybody to listen to what I've got to say? Right? 100%. And I'm good with this. I'm practicing my craft. So we've got the time right now, right? So we'll be back tomorrow. We're going to be talking about integrity. We'll look at it in a different perspective. I'll do a little bit of Googling and we'll see what that perspective is tomorrow. Integrity. It's always a good word. Okay, you guys. That's my good cheer. See you tomorrow. Bye bye.